Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Juan's World, and I'm going back to cooking, to Cambodian cooking, and I'm going to make a soup which in the Khmer language is called Samlor korko. Actually, the spelling when it's transliterated into English has a lot more R's in it than actually are pronounced in the Khmer language. Just as if you look at Khmer itself, it looks like it's khmer, and that's how a lot of Westerners pronounce it, but it's actually Khmer, and the soup is spelled korko with an R, but it's actually pronounced koko, and it means stirring soup, which in English I usually think of as put a lot of things in a pot and cook it, soup, which is really how it's made in most of the country. You can use a fish base, a pork base, a chicken base, a beef base. You can put all kinds of vegetables in, and it all comes out as stirring soup. But I'm doing a fairly classic recipe here, so let's get started. Now, the first thing you have to make is a paste, which again in Khmer language is usually called krung, and there are different krungs. There's green krung, yellow krung, red krung. This one involves green krung, and there are certain standard herbs in it. If you remember from my master stock video, there's galangal and kaffir lime leaves and turmeric, also lemongrass, garlic, and sometimes shallots. And traditionally what you're supposed to do is chop them up fairly fine and then pound them in a mortar with a pestle. Well, I don't have a mortar and pestle, and I find that a little arduous, so I do what a lot of modern Cambodian cooks do, and I put all of those ingredients into a food processor with a little bit of water and pulse them up. Don't want to get everything into an absolute complete like powdery paste, but close to it. And then what I'm going to do is put the paste into a stock made with pork bones. And the most important extra ingredient that I'm going to add to this is broth, which is fermented fish paste. And in Southeast Asia, every country has its own form of fish paste. Usually I use the Javanese version called belacan, because it's fairly easily found in markets here in Cambodia. I have to search to get broth. You can see it here, handmade and in banana leaves. So you put your krung into the pork broth, add your fish paste, and sometimes I add a little bit of fish sauce as well, and then I'm going to actually add some salmon here. Cambodians, when they make the fish version of korko, will use mudfish or catfish or some other fairly bony and pretty fishy tasting fish. But I like salmon, so I poached off some salmon in the broth, and then took it out in order to be able to add the vegetables which come next. And again, it's cook's choice. We've got some squashes, which they call pumpkins here. We've got Thai eggplants, these little green round eggplants. Got some shredded up radish, long beans, all the vegetables that you can find that you like dump them all in the pot and cook them, and stirring often. That's why it's called stirring soup. And then when you're ready to serve, add back in the fish flaked up a little bit, and serve all the vegetables, fish and broth together, and you have stirring soup. Marvelous. So if you like this video, please tell your friends. Please ask them to like, to subscribe. And I may or may not see you on Friday, I'm not sure. I'm getting kind of at the bottom of the hill when it comes to making videos. So I may round it off a little bit in the next week or so, but I'm not sure about Friday. But have a good week.